What's going on, everyone? I'm gonna do just some basic maintenance on this. I'm gonna repack the bearings and put a new shock in. Now originally I was going to replace the rotor and put some new brake pads on it as well, but I was shipped the wrong stuff, so I'm in the process of returning that right now. I've already done the other side. That was my biggest concern initially. The bearings were a little loose, and I bought new bearings. I was going to replace the bearings, but once I dug into it, I realized that the bearings were fine. They just really needed to be repacked. So I'm hoping it's the same thing on this side. I'm going to pull this off. This rotor, I would like to replace it, but I don't want to wait for the parts to come. I need to get this truck back on the road. So I am going to pull this apart. I am going to repack the bearings. I am going to go through and grease all the suspension, and I'm going to replace the shock on this side. Like I said, the other side's already done, so we're good to go there. And I really wasn't going to make a video on this, but I kind of started thinking, well, maybe if you don't know how to do it, this come in handy for you. It's not an overly complicated process, but I'll basically walk through it step by step, and maybe you get something out of it. If not, maybe you get to at least see me sweat. So here we go. Let's get her done. So if you take a look at this is like seized up on here. I took these tires off, about a week and a half ago, I think. Maybe two. Oh, it's been like 2 weeks ago. I started this project and then kept having stuff getting in the way. I got the other side got done last weekend, and now I'm on to this side. So don't mind all of this rust or whatever, but it has seized up. So I'm going to try and pound on it a little bit, see if I can get it to break loose, and go from there. I'm going to try and do this one-handed. Oh, there it goes. All right, so that's good enough. So the first thing I need to do is take the caliper off. So in order to do that, sorry, my finger's in there. So in order to do that, there's a bolt here and then a bolt down here. All right. They take an Allen key. Let's see here. This one right here, nice big one. All right. So you take these off, and then you pry. Well, I'll have to pry because the pads are pretty tight. Pry this whole thing off. So let me get these taken out, and then we'll pry it off, and we'll go from there. All right, this is some slow going. So once I get these out of here, I don't want to like hang the caliper off of the brake line. It's the rubber line that comes back here that connects to it. It's still good. It's nice and free. I didn't have any problems with the brakes at all on this, so I really wasn't concerned with this. And you know, I wanted to change out the brake pads, and I tried to get new ones. But like I said, when I took off the other side, there was still a lot of meat on the pads. I didn't really need to do it. It was just more that I was taking this all apart to do the bearings anyway, so I thought I would do all the other stuff, just kind of like preventative maintenance. And it's a great idea, and that's the way you should do it. But like I said, I ordered the wrong parts. I gotta send them back. It's kind of the way it goes when you're ordering parts. You get them a lot cheaper that way, but it also sometimes can become a bit of a hassle. I'll send those back, and I'll just do it this way, and then I'll hold on to the bearings and plan a future, maybe when these pads finally do give up the ghost, at that point in time, I'll pull it all back apart and put new rotors on it and new pads and all that jazz. Where'd that saying come from? All that jazz, huh? All right, so hopefully y'all can still see this. We're starting to run out of daylight. I may not even be able to get this video finished tonight, but we got both of these out of here. There's a dog. It won't stop barking. Well, maybe it just did. That'd be great. All right, so after pulling these bolts out, weights, taking both these bolts out, we're going to take caliper off, pry it off. This is the easiest way I found to do it. We don't want it to hang on that line, so I like to set it up here if I can get it to stay. Most of the time it does. There you go, kind of wedged it in there. That should be fine. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this cap off. Once we get this cap off, we should find a bolt underneath. You could have probably used a smaller screwdriver. We have a cotter pin that holds our bolt in place. There you go. Straighten this bad boy out. Pull it out. Hopefully, I'll be able to reuse that. Because I don't know if I got another box of them or not. There we go. Here, this should come off relatively easy. Yeah, that should be fine. Sometimes you get them and they've been way over tightened. Now I've owned this truck since 2005, so the last person to probably do this was me, so I wouldn't be surprised if I had torqued it way down. The other one was a little tighter than it probably should have been for being loose and needing to be repacked, but you know, you live, you learn, you get better as you get older. Sometimes you get worse. Alright, this washer goes onto a groove right here. This is a spindle. Don't quote me on that. Then the front bearing should come out easy. See how dirty that is, how many voids are in it. Now overall, the bearing doesn't look to be in horrible shape. This one looks about like the other one. I probably get away with repacking it. I won't totally know until I get all this grease out of there. And for that, we'll soak all this stuff in gasoline for about 20 minutes. It'll get all this stuff off, and I'll really be able to tell how good the bearing is. I want to be able to get the rear bearing. So we take our nut here. Castle nut, I believe it's called. Don't quote me on that either. All of this stuff that I do, I've just learned how to do over the years. My dad, other people teaching me, a lot of it figuring out on my own. So do not take my advice or do it at your own risk. But so if I do that, there we go. That's the rear bearing and the seal. So there's two things I want to look at here, especially when I get them clean more than now. So I want to make sure this is in good shape, that all of these roll, that it's not like lopsided or anything. Doesn't appear to be disassembling itself. And then the other thing I want to look at is that this is round and that the rubber seal on here is still in good shape and flexible. If it's too stiff, too hard, we won't be able to reuse it. So if it feels okay, and I don't see any tears in it, so I feel confident we'll be able to reuse that as well. Inside are races, if that's what they're called, and you want to feel them to make sure they're perfectly smooth. They don't have grooves in them. They're not overly worn out. The one in the front, I believe, will also move. So even though this grease in here looks pretty rough, I'm not really going to try and clean it out too much. I mean, just a little bit. I might take a rag to it, clean it off some, but I'm not going to do it too much. I want to keep as much grease in it as I can. Now I will clean the spindle off and clean the back here off, the sensor, I'll try and clean it off, and I would probably do all that while wearing gloves so I don't get any more nasty. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bearings, the seal, the washer, the castle nut, all that stuff in some gasoline, let it sit for a while I clean all of this stuff up. We'll go from there. I'm going to clean off this spindle. What I'm going to use for that is just some basic brake cleaner. And an old towel. Get it nice and clean. After that, you want to inspect it to see if there's any ridges in it or anything. This one feels pretty smooth. I don't feel any ridges in it, anything like that. Want to get all this kind of old grease off, make sure if there's any dirt that's gotten in there, it's all washed out. I want to go pretty liberal with this, with the brake clean. It'll evaporate. Just don't light a fire next to it. You end up in a bit of a problem. Here's my jar. Just basic gasoline with all our parts in it. I could not fit the seal in it. So we're gonna hit it with some brake clean too, and then we'll wipe it off. See what I'm saying? Seal is pliable. It's not overly hard. There's no tears. There's no rips. It looks like it's perfectly functional. Now, like I said, usually you want to put new rotors, new bearings, do all that stuff. And I have new bearings, but I don't want to put new bearings in the old rotors if I know that I'm going to have to replace them anyways. It's just a waste of money, especially considering that the other ones look good. Now, if one of those turns out not to look good, I will replace it. But it looks okay. It's kind of shade tree style or whatever, but that's kind of the kind of guy I am. I've owned this truck for a long time. It's basically just a beat up truck. I'm doing all this stuff because my daughter's gonna be driving it. I just want to make sure that it's safe and everything's worked out. That's my goal here. As soon as I have to, like I said, as soon as I have to replace the brakes, all this stuff will probably end up being replaced anyway. I am going to wipe that out, kind of clean it just a little bit. I'm going to pull my parts out and wipe them off, and then we're going to be packing the grease. So here's our bearings. I think you can see that, hopefully. They look pretty good. They move. Nothing's stuck. Everything seems really free. I think those will be fine. They're not even scarred up that much. This one the same way. Everything looks good. Nothing scarred up that much. These actually have a plastic outer one. I thought was interesting when I found that on the other one. It's plastic, but it's sturdy, and this has got to be original to the truck. So we're talking at this point, you know, this being a 2003, 13, 23, 26 or 23 years old. Jeez, Florida education for you. 23 years old, and it still seems to be in good shape. Cotter pin came out reusable. Our washer and castle nut seemed fine. But anyways, like I was saying, everything looks good. We're going to use some basic high temp bearing grease. We're going to pack them. But you do this, get yourself a nice handful of it. Put it in your palm. You're going to get messy. It's all right. It's all part of the process. All right, we're going to take it and we're going to pack grease in. We want to start seeing it come out the top. That's how you know it's packed in there. It's going to come out the top. Don't worry about putting too much in it, man. Just pack that bad boy full of grease. Just like shove it in, like shove it down on the grease and then drag it across your palm to like try and pull it up to the top, just like that. I don't really think too much is a thing. The more it's in there, the better. All right. Maybe put a little bit around the outside for when we drop it in. this is the back one. We're doing this one first. You got to drop the seal into it. So we drop this bad boy in, put it down like that. Now, cleaned off the seal. As you can see, all looks good. I'm going to put a little grease on it. I'll protect that rubber from the heat. And then I'm going to put this right onto there. And I'm going to tap it into place. Now, I'm going to try and get as much of this grease off as I can. It's starting to rain out here. So I'm fighting the weather right now. I had no idea it was going to rain today. So, grab the hammer. I'm just going to slowly tap it in. It'll stop going down and you'll know it's in. Just slowly tap all the way around until it's locked itself in as far as it'll go. Okay, I think we're good there. Now that that part is locked in, we're ready for the front, but I want to pack it before I put it on there. So, do the same process again. Take it, pack it on. Get it all in there until it's coming out the top. Just shove it down onto your palm and then drag it across. That's how you get it all. It's the easiest way to get it up. You can't drag it all the way across your palm. Drag it as much as you can. There you go. See it starting to come up to the top there? That's what we want. We want that all the way around. I think we pretty much got that. So I'm going to put just like a little icing on it. Alright. Take this off. Put that back in the can. Now I'm going to try and take this. Here's what I'm going to do. Pull my glove. Take this, slide it on, and I come with my bearing, push that, that'll kind of put it in place. That was both obnoxious and kind of cool. Put my washer in, I'm going to thread my nut on. Now, I think everybody has a little bit of a different touch when it comes to this. I don't think I'm that much different. It's just everybody just has a different idea of what they think is tight. I'm going to tighten this down until it's nice and snug like that. I think I'm going to try and make it go a little farther. I'm going to spin this around and get that grease to move because I want to make sure it's tight. I don't want after I'm using it the grease to heat up, get loose, and then this gets loose. So right now it's nice and snug. It's harder to turn. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to back it off. I want that to turn super free, pretty much like that. Now, I don't want it to be too loose, but I want it to be, there you go, turns easy, it has no rock back and forth, no rock side to side. So it's in there, it's nice and snug. Now sometimes when you do these, especially when they're like this, you have to come back later and kind of tighten them down and kind of reset them. But usually that takes a bit of mileage before you have to do that. At least that's my experience, but it also might just be the way I do it. I can't really say for sure. Put our cotter pin back in. Give it a tap. Yay, the rain. Take in this back. All right. That should be locked in there. Plenty good. The last thing I'm gonna do is slap some grease in on this. It's the next day. As you can see, it's not raining anymore, which is great. I am now gonna jump back in. We're gonna put the caliper back on. I checked the brake pads already. They're good. Slap the caliper back on, and then when we're done with that, we're going to remove the shock and put a new front shock in it. And then we're gonna go through, we're gonna grease all the suspension that I can get to. Putting the caliper back on is easy enough. You know, as long as I don't lose parts to it. So all I gotta do is compress the piston. So I'm gonna take this brake pad. At least they got plenty of meat on them. Set it up against there. We'll take this vise, put it under there, and I'll just tighten it down against the back of the other brake pad till our piston is compressed. I like to do turn or two, let the fluid leave and it settle in, and then do the next little bit of a turn until it's fully compressed. I don't really have to fully compress it here because we have lost some of the pad, so that's probably a good idea too anyway. So I will. I want to try and keep it as straight as possible, so keep an eye on it. Make sure that's being pushed in. That's one of the reasons I push against the back of this pad onto this pad. It spreads out the pressure and make sure that the piston goes in straight. If it goes in crooked, it can wedge. Got that compressed. Take that off. Put this pad back on here. And then we take this and we set it back in place. Now that I've set that back into place, one of the things I like to do while I've got these pins out is get any loose crap off them. Take a little bit of sandpaper and just clean them off. Get the worst of it off. Once that's done, maybe hit it with a little bit of brake clean. That's that one. Do the same to the other one. You can use pretty much any sandpaper for this. I wouldn't go too high a grit. And then I take anti-seize. Now you can get like brake grease, and maybe other people don't think this is the right stuff to use. I've used it multiple times over. I like the anti-seize, especially on this, being that it slides underneath this pad little ledge there. I find that it's better against being washed off, run off, than some of the other greases. Boom, that one's lined up. Now we just do the same thing on the one below it. And boom. Now I will take my Allen key, tighten these up, and we will be locked on. Actually, before I do that, let's hit this disc with some clean. Just in case we got any residual bearing grease or any other kind of grease on there. That should clean it off pretty good. And then we will tighten these up. All right, so caliper's back on, everything's good, rotor spins, I tightened it up, pumped the brakes, they came back alive. So now we're gonna pull the shock and replace it. And right up here, see if I can get you in here, is the top mount to the shock. Now if you see the top here, it's squared off. All right, what this allows for is for you to grab a hold of it here, because when you start turning it on this nut, it's going to turn the entire shaft. and you're not going to be able to get it off. And the way that this is held is this one bolt up here on the, I want to say, piston shaft, and then all the way down on the bottom, and I'll get you a shot when I get down there, but down under here, see the shock in the middle of that spring, all the way down at the bottom there are 2 bolts that bolt in. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to take this one off, and the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to come in here with a pair of vice grips, and I'm going to grab that top square part of this shock. Did I do it too much maybe? Oh no, there. Okay, so once I have that on there, take my 9/16 wrench and I can start loosening this nut. This is catching on here, which is stopping the piston from turning, so that all I do is loosen my nut. Well, that's if I can get my wrench around. There we go. Now, once I get this up to here, this nut up to here, I have to switch this to go underneath of it so I can finish taking the nut off, unless it's loose enough to where I can just get it off. Now, if I probably hit it with some blaster or some WD-40, that would probably work, and I probably wouldn't need to. But based off of this, I'm turning it by finger now, so unless I get hung up, I may be able to get it off like this. This has gone easier than the other side. Shit's gone easier than most. That's gone easy. Let's see if I pop this off. Now it's gonna let me turn it right off. Look at that. So that one's off. So now all we have to do is drop the 2 on the bottom. GM's intelligence, they made the bottom one a different size. This is the bottom of the shock. You have a bolt here and a bolt here. Take those 2 out and the entire shock drops straight down and out. There it is. The winner is 1/2. I don't know why they can't just make them the same size. That would be nice. There we go. Nice spider webs too. I'll tell you how long I've let this thing sit here. Ah, there you go. Drops right out. Reach up here where it was bolted in and boom. There we go. There's the old shock. There's our old shock. Here's our new shock. I know they work. Like I said, I already did this on the other side. Let me cut this off and we will prep this. Go right up in its place. Basically, works exactly the same, only in reverse. Took our nut off. Washer on it off. And then our top one of these off, because these are going to go on the top. Now look how this is orientated. Small rubber ring there, that is going to go down on it. Larger rubber ring, if you can see that, can you see that larger rubber indentation? That goes to this side. Keep that in mind when you're going on. It works the same way on the other side. Smaller rubber one here, larger one on the underside. I am going to take this and slide it back up through the bottom, and then I'm going to start the nut on the top. Take this, find the hole, line it up, my finger, the top hole, so I can feel the top of that little rod, and then I use that to guide it upward. So I've guided it upward, I put my rubber piece down, I put my shock washer, and then the nut. I give it a few turns, enough to make it snug so that it holds the shock in place. Once the shock has been held in place, we take our bolts down here and we start putting them in. Once both of our lower bolts are started, I will begin to tighten the lower bolts. Do it this way because it compresses the shock upward as we go. Oh, cross there. alternate. Keep them both roughly snugged. Don't let one get too far ahead of the other. And make sure that they're seated flat. And then proceed to man torque them. Which means make them tight. That way when I go to try to take them off, the next time I want to change them, it's damn near impossible. I have to get out the Sawzall. Those are good. So we got the bottom part of the shocks on. We still have this up here. We need to finish tightening this. Now, once again, it's got this little squared off part on the top. I'm gonna put well, this one doesn't seem to be as square. Or maybe it's just me. What I'm going to do, it's squared off. I'm gonna put my vice grips on that, and then I'm going to use it to tighten this down. I guess I could try tightening it first and see what happens. See if it spins. Yep, see it spin? I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe if I go slow, you can see the reflection change. So it does spin. We grab our vice grips, get them on here, and I'm gonna put them over here instead. And then we're going to proceed to tighten this down. We let the vice grips hold it in place. I'm gonna tighten this until it's nice and snug. I don't want to squish these rubber, I don't know what you call them, rubber shock mount things. I don't want to like flatten them completely out. I want to get the bolts snug to where they grip really well and they're not going to make a bunch of noise. But I don't want to do it so tight that they're basically pancaked out. So I reach in here, feel it. I can probably go a little bit more. It basically gets nice and snug. Gets a little harder to go. Probably right about here. Of course, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to go one more because that's what I always do. And then, let's see. That feels pretty good. So, pop this off. Oh, this is so hard. There we go. One-handed mechanics. Should be an Olympic event. All right, so that's our shock completely mounted. The last thing we're gonna do is we're going to go in and we're going to grease, or at least attempt to grease, all of these little suspension components. Upper ball joint, lower ball joint, tie rod ends, all of that stuff. Now, I bought a grease gun. I got it on clearance, it was $7. I thought it was awesome. What I did not realize is that it has a straight grease pipe on it. It's not flexible. Hopefully I got enough room in here to hit all these spots with it without it being a problem. But if it turns out to be, I might have to go get a flexible one. So I am going to grab that and a wire brush so that we can wire brush these off so that I can grease them, and then I will go through and show you all the different ones that I'm going to grease. Here's our first one. I think I'm gonna be able to get this grease gun up in here. This is our upper ball joint. See if you see what I mean. This hose, or this line, is just straight. I didn't probably why it was on clearance. Nobody wanted to get one like this. They all wanted a flexible line. Probably also gonna have to pump it till we get some grease that comes out of it, because this is brand new. There we go. Starting to get some grease now. Set that on top of there. Pop it on. I'm gonna pump this until it just comes out. It won't go in there no more. Seems like all I can get into there. That's the upper ball joint. Now we're gonna go underneath and we're gonna try and do the lower ball joint if it'll fit, and then the tie rod. Alrighty, will it get on there? No. No, it won't. Will it fit on there? No. No, it won't. Maybe I can just pump it a little. I don't think that's working. I might have gone in. I think I might have. Let's see if I can get the other one to do that. I don't think so. Probably gonna have to get a different tip. The main ones that I am trying to do: lower ball joint, upper ball joint, and these. And now, I do believe that I have one right over there, and then those over there. So I may be able to get to that one, and then the upper ball joint over there. So since I've shown you this one, I'm just gonna go over there, I'm gonna do that side, and then I'm gonna have to get a different tip, and we will revisit this when I have the flexible line to attach to this, which is probably gonna cost me enough to where buying this on clearance meant basically nothing. So I guess the moral of the story is pay attention. There's a reason things are on clearance. Last I left off, I was gonna go to the auto parts store and I was gonna get a rubber hose for this grease gun, but instead I did this. Used a breaker bar, laid it over the top part of a chain link fence and bent it like this, which hopefully will be good enough for me to get it on like this and like that and like that. Some of these I was able to still get last night. Got that one. Could not get the two of those down there, which would be this one and this one. I was able to kind of get these on this side because they were a little higher. So I'm gonna try and top those off again. I also need to get, I believe, up in here and on the other side, and those two. So I'm gonna grease all of these up, and after I do that, we're gonna throw the tires back on and we will take it for a test drive. My little makeshift bend the tube on the grease gun worked fine. I was able to get to all the different spots, taking it for a bit of a test drive now. It's still got a little bit of a squeak to it, but the bearings feel a lot better. There's no clunking. I mean, other than this road being pretty rough, and as I go over speed bumps, it's a lot less noisy. So I think it really did benefit from having some fresh grease. It seems to drive great, drives fine. It's got a little bit of a pull to the right, but I think that's pretty much just the front end alignment. Probably needs one of those. But otherwise, I think we accomplished what we're trying to accomplish here. Brakes work great. I didn't really, oh, that was a big pothole. I didn't really need to change the brakes. They worked fine. Actually, now that I've adjusted everything, they seem to work better. All in all, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Probably gonna take this thing and get it a wash while we're out, top it off with some gas. I may do another video changing the rear shocks on this. I have those in the back, and then, you know, time comes around where I need to do the pads, I'll probably do the rotors and the pads and all of that. At that point, maybe I'll do a video with that as well. And I'm gonna do some stuff on my 69 Impala. I'm probably gonna do videos on that, so keep your eyes open for that. But I think this is gonna wrap up this video. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if this helped you at all. Have a great day.